I'm Michael Jacobus from Supernatural Adventures, and I'm here today with my nature hero, Jeff Corwin. So, you're one of my nature heroes, and because you've inspired me and my two brothers to start our own nature show called Supernatural Adventures. And did you have a nature hero when you were younger?
I did. There were a lot of, I loved some of the old heroes of our past. People like Darwin. You should read his book, Voyage of the Beagle, and how he really came up with the foundation of modern biology through his look at the creation of species, evolution. But for conservation, I think heroes like, for me, Rachel Carson. She wrote a book called Silent Spring. And she predicted a day, because of chemicals and pollution and climate change, that we could have a silent spring where there would be no frogs and birds, and we're experiencing that today, the extinction we're seeing. Aldo Leopold, who was one of the fathers of modern conservation, people like John Muir, people like David Attenborough. I used to watch David Attenborough as a kid, thinking I wanted to be him. Edward Owen Wilson, Dr. E.O. Wilson of Harvard University, who really has been a big part of modern conservation. But I think something like you should, if you're interested in conservation, you should read those books.
Okay. Is there something that you would like to do in nature that you haven't done yet? Like a place you haven't been to or an animal you haven't seen?
Well, I've seen a lot of things, and I mean, you live in Costa Rica, and I've been to Costa Rica many, many, many times. Probably a creature that I would love to see in the wild are two creatures. One is the giant Goliath frog, and the Goliath frog lives in central tropical Africa, and it is very rare, and it is enormous. Its body is this big. It's a 5-foot long frog.
Wow.
And I would love to see the giant Chinese salamander. That's a huge, like 70, 80 pound salamander. They actually can eat ducks, they're so big.
And I really worry about the melting polar ice caps, and I hate the pollution. What worries you most about the environment?
Well, I think climate change is really very scary, and that's something we're all worried about because it's real. It very quickly went from conjecture to a real thing, and we can see it happening. We can see, I've been to the Arctic a number of times, and I've seen, I've gone to a glacier called Jacobus Glacier, and that glacier loses enough water every hour to provide New York City with water for a year. Well, Ansel Adams is one of our world's greatest nature photographers. He's long since dead, but he did these incredible, great, sort of iconic photographs, and many of them are in Glacier National Park in Montana. And these are glaciers that have been there for tens of thousands of years. And if you look at one of his photographs that's maybe 85, 90 years old, and you go to Glacier National Park, you can't find where you are because that glacier's melted. So climate change is very, very real. And the other thing I worry about is habitat loss, species exploitation, and a very serious disease which is wiping out most of our planet's amphibians, a disease called chytrid fungus. Amphibians have lived on this earth for 350 million years. There's more than 6,000 species, and we'll probably lose half of those species by the time you can vote.
What is the most important thing you think kids can do to help protect nature and our environment?
Well, I think the most important thing that young people can do is to recognize how powerful they are. I think it's very dangerous when people feel that they don't have any power. And I think if people recognize that they're powerful in what they buy as a consumer, I think if people realize the power that they have in the way they behave politically, you can't vote, but your parents vote, and you have an influence on your parents, right?
Yeah.
The way you behave civically, how you volunteer, how you as a user of resources behave with regard to recycling and stuff like that. Are you going to, those things make a big difference.
In my school textbook, it says that some resources that will always be there and that are unlimited is water, trees, and air. What do you think?
I think your textbook is not 100% correct. We know that trees can disappear when they're deforested. We lose 3,000 acres of rainforest every hour somewhere in the world, and it's hard to bring that back. We know that water, while yes,
water.
The water that exists in our world stays the same amount. Fresh, good water for streams, for us to drink, for our crops. That won't always be the case. We have a big problem with desertification, places that are becoming deserts. And air, well, we know that air quality is a huge issue in many parts of the world. You can see that in San Jose, there's issue with air quality. Or you can see right here in Atlanta. Look out, you can't even see out sometimes. This morning it was all foggy, I've seen that, New England where I live. So yes, that's kind of yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes, the quantity may be there, but the quality, it's a quantity versus quality thing.
What animal do you think is most like you?
Oh, a sloth. Well, probably my favorite animal is a tie between the Gila monster and the eastern hognose snake.
And what do you like to do on your free time?
When I'm free time, I love to fish. I do a lot of fly fishing.
I like to fish a lot too.
So I fly fish just about every day when I can, when I'm off.
So in the part you were talking about monkeys, you still nervous of them? Or
oh, I'm not really that nervous. It's more of a TV nervous. But I have a lot of respect for them because they're pretty smart and tricky and untrustworthy and cheeky. There's a reason why they say cheeky is a monkey.